Hey, in this video, I'm gonna tell you exactly why your podcast isn't growing. And I'm not even gonna make you wait until the end of the video to reveal the answer. I'll tell you right now. The number one reason that podcasts do not grow is because you cannot grow a podcast with a podcast. The way that the podcast players are currently set up makes it so that it is not possible to consistently post podcast episodes and gain any kind of exposure from within the podcast players. And while you may find a few rare exceptions to this painful reality, your efforts, your time, your skills, your passions will all be better spent towards something that has a more strategic and a bigger return on your investment of time and money. And this is good news because it means that you haven't been doing everything wrong. It also doesn't mean that your audience isn't out there. It just means that you haven't found the right way to connect with them yet. Hey, welcome to the Pod Sound School. This channel is a great resource for you as a podcaster, a content creator, or new business owner. Don't forget to follow the channel by liking this video and subscribing. Also, let your podcaster friends know about our channel too. I'm Studio Steve and I'm an audio and video professional, and I'm so glad that you clicked on this video. And I can guarantee you that if you really entertain and put to use the things that I'm gonna share with you in this video, that you will notice transformational changes in the way that you podcast and in the way you become a magnet for the people that you've been trying to reach. So I'm gonna share a very useful and easy tactic that you can put into place immediately after watching this video, and it's simple. And that is to exaggerate everything. And here I really do mean everything. I really do mean exaggerate in all caps, exaggerate. Before I really tell you exactly what this means and give you some examples of the exact things that you should exaggerate, let me put this in the right frame for you. What is it that draws you to your favorite podcasts? What is it that makes you attracted to your favorite TV shows, movies? And also, why do you follow the people you follow on all the different social media channels? I would bet that in every single case, for every different type of medium, the answer is because of the experience those pieces of content are providing you and how you relate to them. Now, by contrast, let me ask you these questions. When you are using your smartphone to consume content, what is the content that makes you cringe? What is the stuff that you can't swipe away from fast enough? Hopefully you get where I'm trying to move our perspective, and that is from the perspective of the listener or of your audience. I also want to take you out of your own perspective so that we can get away from our egos or our beliefs or our current set of definitions and all of our biases. I want us to take a look at your podcast from the outsider's perspective. And now here are some specific examples of some easy things that you can start exaggerating right off the bat that will give you exponential output in terms of your podcast performance. The first one, and I think this is my favorite one, I think that this is the one that you can immediately see some amazing things happen for your show, and that is your persona. How can you exaggerate your persona? Now, when I say exaggerate your persona, there are, of course, 100 things under that subject line that could be broken apart. You can exaggerate the way that you look. You can start wearing certain colors that make you more recognizable. You can really brand yourself and change your appearance. And that would also be a really great thing that you can exaggerate. But my favorite part to exaggerate when it comes to your persona is your status. What I think is the most useful thing to do here is to take a look at your life in addition to your podcast and really ask and imagine, what are your greatest life dreams? So what does this dream future look like? How do you look in your dream future? What type of clothes are you wearing? What type of house are you living in? What type of car are you driving? What's your countenance like? How do you behave? Do you stand with more confidence? Do you speak with more confidence? This is the version of you who has succeeded at all these things that you're trying to do right now. So draw a very clear picture of this person in your mind, this exaggerated, extremely successful version of yourself. And now take a look at where you are right now in reality and see the differences between those two personas. And from now on, when you are podcasting, move yourself closer to your future person in the way that you speak, in the way that you stand, in the way that you dress, in the way that you appear. And you will have an exaggerated version of yourself that happens to be a version of yourself the people will be inclined to listen to, that they'll relate to more and be more likely to share an experience with you. You won't just be inviting them into the current state of your life or your business or your expertise or your story. You'll be inviting them into an exaggerated, more exciting version of your story. People only receive the frequencies that we broadcast. It's not just your voice you're recording on the microphone. You are capturing your energy and you are sharing your perspective. If I'm going to tune in to your podcast, it's only because of a promise of a cool experience. If you exaggerate how you are, if you exaggerate who you are, where you are, your perspective, your views, your take, all of that exaggeration will make the experience more enjoyable to me. So that one obviously is a really fun one that I could spend 3 hours aimlessly talking about, but we better move on to some more examples so that you can really drive this simple idea of exaggerating everything home. I want to talk about the next most important one that I think you should exaggerate when it comes to your podcast and your creative endeavors, and that is your production. This is the big one. How can you exaggerate your production? Now, the first and most obvious answers to pop up here would be equipment, better microphones, maybe hiring an amazing podcast editor. Maybe I should add music and sound effects and all of the stuff. And yes, all of those things you should really exaggerate. But the one I really want to point out is, can you exaggerate the method and the discipline and the workflow in the way that you produce your podcast? And more specifically, can you exaggerate the output of your weekly media and promotional efforts? So for example, here's a very common workflow of an average podcaster. First, the podcaster writes or outlines, records, and edits an audio episode. Then they export an MP3 file or a WAV file, and they upload that file to their podcast hosting site. Then they add a description, they put all the links and the things that they may have discussed in the episode, and their calls to action in there. Then they may even take an extra step to add unique episode artwork. After that, they publish the episode. They go to 1 or 2 social media sites. They then share a link to the new episode and a little description or an image talking about the episode and why people should go listen. Then throughout the rest of the week, they periodically and sporadically check those social media platforms and try their best to engage with everyone they can on those platforms. And although this is what average podcasters do, this is a tremendous amount of work. And if this is something that you're doing on a weekly basis, week by week as you go, this is likely all the time that you have to put into your podcasting efforts. So how can we implement new methods and strategies into how we actually record these podcast episodes? And how can we exaggerate the output and the efficiency while not adding any more time each week? Because we don't have a lot of extra time. My top suggestion and the best suggestion really is the one that you likely don't want to hear, or you've been putting off, or you've been dreading. But it's the best and the top suggestion for a reason, because it works and because it exaggerates the output and the return on your time and your energy investment by many times. And with consistency, it has a snowballing effect and this exponential explosion of growth for you and your pursuits. And that is to turn on a camera. Yes, I know it sucks. It's the hardest thing that I do on a daily basis with the work that I do here at the Pod Sound School, and that is to get in front of the camera. I've had many different crises. I've had all the crises and meltdowns and you name it, but I continue to find ways to improve my performance, to reduce my camera anxiety, and to just let go. And with the same theory of exaggerating everything, you can exaggerate the way that you are on camera. You can exaggerate your confidence level. You can pretend basically to be a lot more confident than you actually are. And you can just tackle the thing, damn it, and turn on the camera while you do your podcast. This one exaggeration alone requires only a couple of added minutes of time to your regular production schedule. And now in the post-production process, instead of editing an audio episode, you edit a video episode that can also work as an audio episode. And this is where you can really exaggerate and get really powerful results. And that is now, as part of your typical weekly workflow, you don't only upload your episode to your podcast host. In addition to that, you take one small extra step and upload your video podcast to YouTube and Spotify. And since you already have this video just chilling in a video editing software, let's just exaggerate what we're doing in there, in that video editing software. And after we export the final video and audio episode that we've edited, let's duplicate that project that we're working on and open up the copy or the duplicated version of that project. And then in that new timeline, we'll just find 5 awesome little highlights or clips from each episode. This takes a little bit of time, but these clips can be then exported separately as 5 little vertical videos. And imagine now, instead of just posting a typical check out my new episode style content to the platforms, which provide essentially zero experience to anyone on those platforms and really become some of those cringe posts that people can't scroll away from fast enough, let's replace the time it takes us to do that with now uploading these 5 cuts that we just made from our complete podcast episode and upload those cuts to YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, and TikTok, all in one shebang. With just this small implementation and shifting the way that we produce our podcast and exaggerating the productivity and the method and the strategy in which we produce our podcast, we went from having an audio podcast and nearly zero social media presence to now having an audio and a video podcast and consistent daily vertical trendy videos on all of the platforms. Oh, and PS, right here, people love podcast episode clips as short videos. They love seeing those podcast microphones in the videos. They love digesting the little best previews or the little best highlights from your episodes. I guarantee that if you employ this one strategy alone to your current production, that you will get 10 times the amount of plays or downloads within your first week. I can also guarantee that if you keep going and you keep looking for new, simple things you can exaggerate, that this 10 times growth will become exponential. And hopefully that got you thinking in the right way, and hopefully you're willing to imagine and ask, what can I exaggerate right now? You don't have to exaggerate 500 things all at once. Just pick one, and the things that I mentioned in this video, exaggerating your persona, your status, exaggerating your perspective, and exaggerating your production, and more specifically, exaggerating your strategy and your willingness to implement more productive systems into your workflow. These things are actually very simple to begin. And if you want to take the fast route and have support from us personally here at the Pod Sound School, we do have an industry-leading coaching program that helps business owners and new business owners to build content machines that work on autopilot for them to generate leads and nourish those leads. It's a specialty of ours. We typically launch those coaching programs in groups, so we may be enrolling for a program right now, or you can get on the wait list and get all the information you need by going to podcastingsmart.com/waitlist. And if you're ready to get into video podcasting and just take the leap and learn what you need to learn right now to start incorporating video into your workflow, check out this video right here where I do a deep dive into video podcasting and all of the things that you'll need to get started instantly.